Our next speaker is from the Philippines, Mr. Emmanuel, he's commonly known as Don Marquez. Mr. Marquez started out his career in the nonprofit sector in the Philippines through the Social Action Center, Gratia Plena, and he's actually going to be standing in for Father Vergara, who was meant to be here but had other duties that he had to perform in his parish and could not make it here. But Mr. Marquez was a community organizer and researcher with that organization. He served in Nueva Ecija province, north of Manila, for 7 years. That's the same province where the Alllights Village program is. For 7 years, helping out the marginalized sectors like farmers and women's group, and later became part of the Diocesan Formation Center in the Diocese of San Jose. Mr. Marquez also works with Service for Peace Philippines and supports the community development component of Alllights Village, not only in the Philippines, but has a regional responsibility now in Southeast Asia. So I'd like to introduce now Mr. Marquez to give the next presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Phillips, for that introduction. And before presenting to you our current Alllights Village experience in the Philippines and how the program impacted our community partners, of course, through the initiative of the master planner here of Alllights, Mr. David Yu, let me share to you some of the significance of the program in the country. With the achievement of the Philippines Department of Energy through the National Electrification Administration, or NEA, in 2009 of 100% electrification of barangays. Well, barangay is a small community run by a chieftain or a chairman, making it the smallest form of government. And within that coverage areas of the electric cooperatives, the focus of the rural electrification program shifted to a program called Sitio Electrification Program. What is a sitio? A sitio is the next geopolitical unit of a society. It is a territorial enclave that forms part of a barangay, the location of which may be distant from the center of the barangay itself. So the Sitio Electrification Program involves 33,370 sitios that are still unenergized in the Philippines. So this program envisions, the Sitio Electrification Program envisions to energize these sitios through on-grid electrification by 2020. However, the challenge is that, number one is the cost. The cost to energize one sitio is estimated at 1 million pesos, or around $24,000. A sitio might consist of from 15 to 50 to 80 homes or households. 1 million pesos to electrify the whole community versus the 100,000 pesos, or about how much is that in dollars, for the Alllights Village project. So let's all give them a warm, loud of applause. 1 million from the government, $24,000 to energize the sitio versus the Alllights Village of 150 pesos, or 150,000 pesos, or I'm not a math person, or $3,000. 3,000 versus $24,000. Isn't it a great contribution to the Philippine society and might be replicated in other countries? Since there are 33,370 unlit sitios in the countryside, the total amount is 370 billion is being requested as subsidy fund from the national government. Their target is to energize 90% until 2016. Hence, due to some challenges, the number of sitios unenergized remains the same. It's still 33,370 communities minus the first 18 Alllights Village or 17 Alllights Village that has been done by the GPF Philippines. Another round of applause. In the recent disaster that hit the country, Alllights Village also provided support, as mentioned by Mr. Yu, for the immediate need of lighting up the disaster-stricken areas, especially in the temporary shelter, evacuation centers, and hospitals. GPF gave an initial donation of 4,000 solar lanterns. So with that, the typhoon is no longer, well, more reason for us, to consider that hopefully in the future, Alllights Village program will extend its services in hardly hit central Philippines. So ALV is one of the programs that respond to the need of the country. The long-standing problem of the big number of Filipinos who are still in darkness and considered a great impediment to our nation's economic growth will certainly be given adequate solution, as our President Benigno S. Aquino III announced in the launching of efforts to find alternative ways of lighting up powerless villages. And just a few weeks after Aquino's speech on the electrification project, the launch of the Department of Energy in Malacanang in January of this year, and the lighting up of the over 33,000 sitios in the country has been supplemented by the Global Peace Festival, or the Global Peace Foundation's Alllights Village Project that started in the province of Nueva Ecija. It doesn't end with solar lamps distribution, as mentioned by Mr. Yu in his presentation. It's the entry point of a more deeper community development program. Let me just share my experience as a community development worker in that same province. My first ever job after I graduated from college. I work in an NGO called Gracia Plena Social Action Center, a Catholic church-based institution that organizes farmers, landless rural workers, women, and youth in Nueva Ecija province, north of Manila, where, of course, Alllights Village is also, that's also the pioneer area. Our approach in the community development is simple. It is anchored from the personhood of the individuals who are members of the association we form. So what makes it a personal approach? We always start our meetings, whether it is a big meeting, huge, or a small group meetings, with a prayer according to our faith and with our personal life experience. Is there something bothering you with your family, with your work, with your community? Maybe you can share in this small group meeting and see how the members of the team could support or help you. And then the last dynamic would be the business meetings. Hence, this aspect in this circle are being responded to. Like, for example, the socio-cultural life, because you are socializing with each member of the organization. The personal healing and development, especially if you are very open to share the problems or anything that is bothering you. And the faith life, of course, and the spiritual formation and prayer and the temporal life. And then discuss with the business meeting the economic issues and the social issues. So these aspects of these are actually the aspects of total human developments are tackled. We call the strategy Adamayang Kristiyano, or building small communities of faith, whether you are a Catholic, whether you are a Muslim, whether you are a Christian, or whether you are a independent or Protestant. The mandate of Gracia Plena Social Action Center requires its programs to be holistic in approach. Formation and strengthening of Christian values or faith values through activities is a major concern. There are 5 values expected to be strengthened, and these values are the values of life, solidarity, responsibility, freedom, and love for all creation. And with these aspects, the Social Action Center Gracia Plena implements program in following areas such as, number 1 is people empowerment with the small faith community formation, community organizing, and cooperative development as main components. Second is the livelihood projects. It's still there in the circle, aimed to provide technical assistance and enterprise development, and organizes agriculture or integrated farming system or agro-industrial development and linkages. And then the third would be health and nutrition that focused on household gardening, food security, and implementation campaign or food and nutrition. And the last component that we have to strengthen is the environmental preservation, including soil conservation, because Nueva Ecija is an agricultural province, agroforestry because we have our hills there, and organic agriculture technologies and advocacy. So everything within the process of livelihood and community building in the Alllights Village process is also part of this organization that I've worked with. So people empowerment starts when intended partners or our community partners themselves have a hand in identification, planning, implementation, and monitoring and evaluation of their own projects. That is very, very important. Whenever we give a livelihood projects or non-land-based project, it is very important to consult our partners because we treat them as partners, not as beneficiaries. Like what Alllights Village is still doing, is also doing. Thus, the program practices the participatory approach to development in order for the organization to build, together with the community the cycle of growth and empowerment that gives value to human worth, dignity, and freedom. So like the process being undertaken now by Alllights Village with that same goal, that will be achieved.